Hey guys, Kevalicious here. Hope you are having a great day today. Things are going well for you and you're enjoying your video games. I know I have been, especially with everything that's been going on in my life. I've been having a ton of time to play video games, and I mean, I'm always going to be playing video games, so what am I talking about? But besides the point, I am going to be doing another episode of my game reviews and reactions, and today we'll be talking about Nier Replicant, as you know from the title. Woo! Okay, so yeah, I know Nier Replicant is technically the older version of Nier Automata. This is the original game that came out in America. Not original game that came out in America, but this is the game that made Nier relevant and made it, it brought it to it brought it on the map, and it was the game that really made everyone excited for Nier in the first place. So I did play Nier Automata, and I will do a video on this eventually because I do enjoy this game and I actually want to pick it up again and play it again because I did enjoy it. And I decided to make some videos of the most current games that I've been playing, which includes Neo, and then that'll be my next video you'll see. And then I don't have a case for Nier Replicant because I actually bought it and you can see it right here. I'm playing it now. But Nier Automata was I think, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, is the game that put Nier on the map, right? So Nier Replicant, I heard there are two versions, the original versions. There was Gerald, and then there was another one, or Geralt. Okay, now I remember. Okay, so the original Nier Replicant game was actually called, in 2010, there was Nier Gestalt or simply Nier. This is pretty important, I think, because it's kind of cool, is that Nier Replicant is the remake of the original Nier Replicant game. But there was a spin-off version of it that the developers thought was going to help produce this game into Western markets, so they created a different version of it of the same game called Nier Gestalt. Gestalt is pretty much the same main character, but an adult male who they thought the Western market would connect with better. But when they released Nier Automata many years later, that game just blew up in population and popularity that they just decided to re-release the original Nier with the original characters, and I'll be going over that today and how I feel about everything in this original game. But I thought it was really fascinating, and I wanted to share sort of the backstory of this game because I thought it was cool. I thought it was like interesting because usually games don't have an older release that makes the rest of the games popular. I mean, it happens, but this is one of the first ones that I can really think off the top of my head that the older version of the game is what made the rest of the game now more popular. And since they released Nier Replicant, it it's a very popular game just because of the fact that its predecessor, which is the older version of the game, made it popular. And so my most recent playing of the game is Nier Replicant, so I'm going to be talking about that today. So Nier Automata is not this. I feel like they're very different games. So anything you see in this video, please don't base any of my thoughts and opinions for Nier Automata. I'm actually going to be making a video for that one later. And I will premise off the fact that I do think Nier Automata is a lot more fun and a lot more interesting, and I'll go into more reasons why while I go over the video. But yeah, let's get into it. So there's going to be like 4 or 5 major points, so we'll go over it now. So the first is aesthetics. I wanted to go over what's pleasing to the game. Is it the sound, the music, and the graphics and the overall environmental detail, right? The next will be combat. Does the combat feel great? Do the buttons make sense? I mean, is everything connecting and all that jazz? The next one will be gear, loot, the crafting system, anything that revolves around how do you get gear, how does it work, can you craft it, do you get it through dungeons, do you get it through just killing things or quests, how does the gear system work, and is it good? And I forgot to mention, I'm going to add this on, I'm tacking this on at the end here, I'm also going to talk about questing, right? So questing, so there's going to be a total of 5. So there's aesthetics, combat, gearing, questing, and then story. And then the last one is going to be the story. Obviously, most games I know have a story unless it's a very simple, just like PvP, like let's fight. And usually they develop a story around it anyway. But every game I played has some sort of element to it when it comes to story. and we'll talk about that as well. Do I like it? What is it about? And what do I think about it? All right, so let's get into it. So far in this game, I haven't gotten that far into the game, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why now. Basically, I'm pretty much bored of the game. I'm not gonna give Nier Replicant a very high rating personally. 1 out of 10, I would give this game around a 4 out of 10, just because, and I'll go into more detail about it, but a lot of it has to do with the story, and it has to do with the gearing system. The reason that I give it at least a 4 is because the combat system and the aesthetics is my number one reasons why this is getting at least a 4, because those two systems in my eyes are very good. And I'll go over it now. So in this game, as you can see here, the graphics I think are beautiful. If we're going to be talking about aesthetics as the first thing I want to talk about is aesthetics. I mean, you can just see while running around the difference between the original version of Nier Replicant and the one they just released, the remake of it or the remastered version of it. I mean, it's gorgeous. Like, look at the graphics in this game. It's just, I love the lighting, and I don't know what you call it when you get that glow effect when it comes to like the sky and the sun and all that, but I love it. I think it looks really pretty. It gives that realism touch to it, because I mean, usually in video games you can kind of tell like, oh, this is like a jaded little area, and if you put like a keen eye to it, you can really notice that this is like a game. But that overlay just makes it really nice. The character models too, I really like the main character here. She's crazy outfit though. Can we like talk about that? But oh my god. Anyway, the the character models and the looks of them are really cool. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of the main character, I do find him kind of annoying, and I haven't seen him kind of grow up yet. I do appreciate the things that have been done and made in this game. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and start showing you some more things. So basically the music, you can probably hear a little bit of it while I'm going through, and it's I forgot the controls. Oh my goodness. How do I pick up? Pick up. Oh, I already have enough medical herbs. Ha, I'm just sitting there. Anyway, I'm farming. That's what I'm doing. But anyway, I'm going to show you some stuff while I'm farming. But yeah, I think the aesthetics, like I said, the world, the way it looks, the way it feels, the music, the sound, I give it an A+ in this game. I think it's gorgeous. The only downside I have for the world itself is all the loading screens. I'm not a fan of how many loading times I have to have and sitting there and reading that dang diary. I mean, god, the diary is so boring to read. Like, please no more loading screens. But I don't know how it's made. I wish the loading screens were a little bit quicker. Maybe, I don't know how that would change. But other than that, I do have to say in this game, and it's not necessarily the aesthetics, maybe that's more of the gameplay part of it. I don't enjoy how the world is placed. That's something I'm not a fan of in this game, is that when you're running around doing content and stuff, I don't like it when games recycle things. This is a game that pops on my mind when I talk about this is Skyward Sword of Legend of Zelda. One thing I absolutely hated about that game, and I'm feeling the same way for this one too, is I felt like the producers kind of got lazy, or they got, lazy, and they didn't want to produce a lot more areas, so they decided to instead make the same areas and recycle them instead. They didn't want to put the effort into creating new maps, new levels, new zones, new dungeons. So instead they got creative with it and decided to like, hey, let's just use the same zone we did before and force the player to go back there in order to farm and do their content and then come back later. It's a very farm game, which doesn't make it for a much exciting experience in my opinion. But I do realize this was made way back in the day, and I'm sure the game developers were getting just into it. This is probably the first version of their game, and they probably had a lot of reasons why they didn't put more effort into creating different and newer content. But if you want to talk about like the overall animations of like the spells and stuff like that, I mean, oh my god, just look at this. It's gorgeous. And the fact that each particle effect looks really good. I mean, I really enjoy the magic aesthetics part of it, and it's just very updated. It's an older game, but with very updated graphics, makes this feel fantastic. All right, so that's the aesthetics. I definitely give this an A+. When it comes to the next one, which is combat. You already can kind of see a little bit of the combat I'm doing. I think it's great. The Okay, so the only thing I would give combat, like if I can give a combat a rating 1 out of 5, right? I would give it a 4 out of 5 just for the fact of the way spells work in this game. And I'll explain myself right now. So if you get a spell, I was hoping that I would be able to get all the spells and use them however I want all the time. Like I was hoping that there would be like a little bar to the side that I could see, but this is how they did it. So that it's literally 4 slots of abilities that you can pick, and 2 of them have to be used for blocking and for evading. Did you hear me? Blocking and evading has to be triggered. Like, okay, actually, I'm gonna give it like a 3 out of 5 because of how frustrating that is to me. So if you click on one, let's say evade, defend, evade, and then all the spells, I haven't gotten all the spells yet, are then brought up as a selection. Really? Like evade and defend, I have to pick and choose between using a spell and then defending and evade. That triggered me. I mean, this must be an older, like I know it's an older game, but that to me was really bad. Like I wish they had got rid of that, put evade and blocking into the keybinds normally, and then created a new wheel system for us to select all the spells that we wanted to without having to go through every time and like selecting which spells we want to get, pick them, and then leave, right? I hate getting brought out of the combat and going into the menu just to select the spells I want in the situation I need. I would rather just have the wheels right there and then build into those abilities and have some sort of talent system to then maybe increase those spells so that those spells become more useful the more that I use it, right? That's what I'm hoping for. Or that's what I would be hoping for. But I mean, I know this is an older game. This is the first iteration of it, but man, like I felt like they dropped the ball hard when it came to designing the skills in this game. The skills themselves are really fun. Like this is like Dark Blast or something like that. If you hold it down, you'll see a little particle effect that indicates like, okay, you get a special move out of it, which I think is pretty cool. That one is like you summon your own phantom, and actually I thought it would be really bad, but come to find out it's a really good spell. It hits really hard and can trigger some really good movements. This one absorbs abilities like spells, and then will fire back the spells. It looks really cool when I cast it, which I really enjoy. And I also like about the Phantom, if you use it on multiple like targets, it hits all the targets. Like I didn't realize that. I thought it would just fling at them. But I don't know. The abilities themselves are really, really cool, and I really enjoy them. Like the A+ on the actual abilities themselves. But having to have to like go through, like right now, like I have all my abilities out. I want to like let's say I want a different ability. I think I don't need Dark Gluttony right now. I really don't need that much. Let's go with like Dark Lance, for instance. Dark Lance sends out like spears that can hit and like stun the target, which is pretty strong with single target, so it's easy to like hurt one target and do that damage. But then yeah, that's it. Like that's all there is to it. And I definitely could tell the game is designed like to be useful, more useful depending on which level you are on and which bosses or like characters that you're fighting or mobs that you're fighting. Like bosses and mobs are really like, I can clearly tell they were designed around certain spells to do well in. And I get that. I think that's kind of cool. I just wish I didn't have to literally stop, pause everything, select the spell, and go back into it. I know it's not the worst thing in the world, but it really takes out of the immersion in the game, and I don't like it. That's like a huge thing. Actually, I hate it. It's one of the worst things I ever experienced, and I do not like it at all. Yeah. Oh, so I did want to mention real fast, that just made me think about it. So aesthetically speaking, I know we're talking about combat, but aesthetics-wise, I did mention the subtitles. I mean, this is a Japanese or Korean, I don't remember which. It's an Asian game designed in Asia, and so the original subtitles are pretty good. I think they're decent. I think they're good voice actors and everything. But the English version, it's okay as well. I don't like the female voice, like the sister, the protagonist's sister. Oh my gosh, she is annoying the crap out of me. But the voice acting is pretty good, I'll have to say. Like I want to throw that real quick in there while talking about combat. Anyway, back to combat. I feel like overall the combat system has everything that it needs to be extremely good. It should have, in my opinion, been there should have been more done to it in order to flesh it out, because I feel like I had all the pieces to be a really solid game. It's just, I feel like they just dropped the ball without, I think they really wanted to keep true to the original game and just, they wanted to fix up some major quality of life fixes, but they didn't really care to like redesign the game. I wish they had remastered this game, to be fair, to be more modern and more updated with games today, because like having a talent system and some sort of way to like, oh, she just got wrecked, I saw that, oh, how was I hurt, would have made this game a 10 out of 10 for me. I think the music, the story, we'll get to that eventually. I mean, I don't know, we'll talk about it in a second, but okay, so the combat, it's good, but it could be amazing, and I give it my points. Okay, so let's talk about gear and loot system. So I'm actually doing something that's related to gear right now as we talk, and that is grinding out the materials needed in order to make enough money so that I can then buy all the weapons I want and materials I need in order to craft the upgraded versions of the gear and get different endings of the gear. So that's something you have to do that I don't mind. Okay, let me premise that I don't mind grinding if it's fun and it feels like rewarding when you do it. But in this game, the way that gearing and grinding like works, okay, the fact that you can only grind for like weapons, really, armor doesn't have any part of it, kind of like is sad to me. Like, I don't know, I just like gear and RPGs and games in general, and I just feel like they don't have a lot to offer, which is really sad in my opinion. Ooh, talking about getting wrecked. So I feel like since it's only the weapons, it's very, very simplified, and the way that you increase the weapons attributes and strength is simply going to this crafter that you find that's really out of the way. By the way, teleporting around the map is brutal. You can't do it. You have to run everywhere. So if you want to, like, let's say go farm somewhere on the other side of the world, basically, you literally have to run there, go through like 5 different loading screens, and then you have to run 5 loading screens back to the guy that can craft and upgrade your gear, and he's like out of the way. He's not in like any major towns. There's not like a blacksmith in every single town that you can just talk to and update it. You have to go to a specific dude, one dude, and he'll update it for you in an outskirt village, which is where I'm at now. And let me just tell you, it is brutal. It is brutal. That, again, is another thing that I wish they... If the gearing system, to me, is like a 1 out of 5. This is one of the biggest reasons why I think this game could be doing a lot better. But the gearing system, to me, is just bad. I mean, it's trash. I'm going to be honest. It's just... I'm not a fan of it. I think it's extremely boring and very overly simplified in a way that forces a very boring grind. And what I mean grind is not just by grinding with killing, it's grinding by running around and going through loading screens to get to an area that you need to go in order to get simple little items. Like, I like games where if you had to grind, you have to do this really difficult quest that like makes you challenge for it. Then you get this item. This item doesn't require you to grind for too long, but at least you had to grind for it. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I like grinds with a challenge to it. I don't like grinds where all you have to do is a very simple, you know, go to point A, go to point B, kill this mob, and you're done. Like, that's it. Like, that to me is overly simplified. If there's no mechanics to it, no story to it, no sort of like difficult content or PvP related to it, then I don't want to do it. I don't want to have to be forced to sit here and do mindless chores that I feel like almost no different than me washing the dishes. Don't make me wash the dishes in the game to get the gear. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's brutal, and I'm not a fan of it. So the gearing in this game, I'm going to give it like 1 out of 5. Like, it is bad. I'm not a fan. I'm really disappointed on how boring it was in this game when it came to gearing out. And that's a pretty fundamental thing that like gives this rating a total of 4 out of 10 for me, is the gearing system. So the combat was pretty good. The aesthetics are great, but the gearing, the loot, I mean, I can think of like 15 different ways off the top of my head of like things that you can do just to have improved this gearing system to be so much better. And I really feel like this is something that they could have done with a remastered version of this game and just made it so much more intuitive, maybe with better quest systems and all that kind of stuff. It would just been a lot more interesting, right? And that leads me into my final point, and we're gonna about, well, okay, ratings weird. I'm giving weird ratings, so each individual rating, like every point I'm giving out like out of 10, and I'm kind of averaging it out to like a total of like, or sorry, every point I'm talking about is going to have a rating of 1 through 5, and then at the, like, I kind of just average out in my head, like, okay, so if this is 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, and this is like 2 out of 5, 1 out of 5, you know, I'm going to do average it out and give a total at the end, which I think is like a 4 out of 10 of the total, what I believe this game is worth overall. And so let's talk about questing. So questing in my eyes is, I mean, I'm gonna give this one a 1 out of 10 as well. So far in the story, I'll give it a 2 out of, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5, because I know people, and I've seen reviews, I've seen comments on Reddit, and this is just my personal opinion, and people definitely completely disagree with me, but that's fine. That's, if that's your opinion, like, I'm not upset about it at all. That's totally fair. But my opinion on this game is that it is an extremely boring quest system. Like, the quest system is like, you like, you have the main storyline quest, which is the saving grace in this game in my opinion, but the questing is awful. Like, the side quests are one of the most worst, outdated like Japanese RPG kind of like questing system. What I mean by that is that it's a simple, like, you know, you go collect 5 quests. The 5 quests ask you to collect 5 apples from the tree surrounding you. They literally do this kind of quest 5 different times in 5 different cities. Like, there's literally one quest in here that is like in every city I've been to. You get a quest that's like, oh, like, can you please give this really fragile delivery to a friend of mine that I care a lot about? But you can't dodge, and you can't run very fast, and you can't attack anything. And if you do attack something or get hit really hard, it's going to break, and you're going to have to come back and get the item. Y'all, it is a terrible quest. And they give it to you multiple times. I was like, you know what? I'll do it once, get this out of my system. I'm never going to do this again. This quest was awful. I'm very, like, you know how many times I literally got hit by a monster or like some sort of mob running in front of me, and that freaking fucking item broke like 20 times. I was screaming because it was so bad. And they brought another one. There was another one in a different village. I was freaking out, guys. I was like, this is one of the worst quest systems I have ever played in any game. I mean, I played so many games, and that quest alone was just like, no. And then they had a bunch of other ones that were much more simplified. Like, you have to go collect these sheep parts, you know, go kill some sheep, bring them the sheep parts back. And then once you do, you know, turn it in and get your reward. Super simple, right? Nothing crazy. And I think those are kind of fine, but I mean, they're still boring. Like, at least have the side quests have an interesting story to it. Like, one of my favorite games out there is like Game of Thrones. It is Dragon Age. In Dragon Age, even the side quests had like stories to it. Like, at least if you're going to put side quests in there, try to put it like some sort of story element to it, so that I'm not bored out of my freaking mind and enjoy the, like, and if there's not a good story to it, at least have a really good reward system and fun combat moment, so that it feels like at least fun. Like, I mean, don't make me just do something so boring, so simplified that, I mean, even like a baby could come on here and do it. That's how bad it is. Like, oh god, the questing, I'm gonna give, like, the only reason it's a 2 out of 5 for me, and this rating I'm giving it, is only because of the main storyline quest. So the main story makes me slightly uncomfortable, and a lot of people have said this as well, is that there's a lot of underlining incestual, like, undertones. That's a word. Yeah, undertones with it, with the main, this main protagonist boy and his like sister, how much he loves his sister, but like, it's kind of intense how caring they are for each other. Like, I don't mind brother and sister like bond, that's great, but I think it's much more like open in, you know, Japan and other countries, especially in the Western countries, to have those kind of undertones, but in America, it's just not. It just it makes us uncomfortable. We're not a fan of it. Let's just say that. And overall, it's kind of a boring story. I mean, there's some moments in it that I've been like, ooh, I like this character, that I'm like enjoying. I think this is fun. But I definitely think that overall, the story to me is not my favorite. Definitely, it just could be a lot better in my opinion, to be honest. Like, the story is just not great. It could just, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's, what is the story? The story is about a kid and his sister has this disease, and you're basically, really upset, and that makes sense. Like, okay, I feel for this kid. I get it. Like, his sister is sick. That's great, but they didn't have to play on the sister being like, oh, like, my brother's gone, and I need to cook for him now, and he's not here, and my birthday's here, and he's just like, oh, gotta love my brother. Oh, it's just like, okay, bitch, shut up. I get you're sick, but calm the tits. He'll be back. He'll be back. He's kind of like going out there trying to save your fucking life, and risking his life by doing it. It's kind of crazy. Like, chill. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. This girl that he meets, that what you saw me following me earlier, that was attacking too. I love her. She's sassy as fuck, and she's like, hell fucking no, I'm gonna fight this bitch. Like, she's literally cursing like this, like, fuck this dude, no, fuck this shit. She's crazy, and I love it. I love her. And I haven't gotten through the whole game yet, and I haven't really played the whole story. And I am, at least the main story has gotten me interested enough to want to play, to figure out what happens towards the end. But honestly, if I really wanted to, I could easily just look it up and learn the story by like looking up YouTube videos. And at this point, with how boring the game, look at her, she's just like, hey, what's up? I've been waiting for you. How boring the gameplay is, it kind of makes me, rather than play it, to just look it up on YouTube. And that to me is not good. So I don't know. I feel like this game is definitely one of those games that is like, it has a cult following, and those cult followers are very intense. If you disagree with them, they're going to get mad, like very mad. And it's whatever, like, I think a lot of people or a lot of games have that sort of part of it. Ooh, nope. That hurt a lot. I'm going to pick up this one instead. Bombs. So in my opinion, the story is just kind of weird. I'm not a big fan of it, and I am interested to see what happens to it. But I do feel like there could be a lot. It just could be a lot more interesting to me. I don't know. It just feels kind of lackluster, and it feels a little uncomfortable in certain moments, and very boring in many others. Like I said, the side quests are so boring that I just do not. I try to skip through them as fast as I can. My favorite part of this game is definitely the combat and trying to beat the bosses. Like, that to me is really enjoyable. I have a lot of fun with it, and that's pretty much it. So the quest, the story, and yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. This is what I have for you for this game. I know it could be a lot more exciting. I think I could have more. Talking about the UI real quick, and let me just finish this review on the UI. I think the UI is gorgeous. I love the UI. I think it's really cool. I love this little like drawing, like ink thing that they have, and I like the orders, the options, all this kind of stuff. I'm not sure what this is, the orders or the animals, but okay. I like the UI. I think it's really pretty. I'm talking about aesthetics, I think it's really cool. But like I said, I just wish that the medicinal herb, like, I wish I didn't have to go through all that like different menus. And if I'm playing this wrong, if there's another way of doing it, please let me know in the comments, guys. But from what I can tell, there's just a lot of buttons and a lot of menus you have to go through in this game in order to get to like simple things like using a health pot, blocking and evading, casting all of your abilities, using any other sort of potion or items. Like, it's just a pain in the butt. Like, I will never use the power-up abilities. I honestly think power-up abilities, potions, and all that stuff, if it's not coming from me directly through an ability, I will most likely never use it unless there's a game that like can build around those potions and stuff and make it actually interesting and easy, like not so resource limited, right? Because when you use a sword, you never really, like, there's no stamina here. Yes, there's magic, but it easily comes back over time. But like when it comes to using items, you waste them and they go away, and like I just don't feel like the benefits are there, right? So I just think the items and the overall UI is really difficult and really frustrating. It feels very old and outdated, but the look and the aesthetics part of it is gorgeous. Again, so a 5 out of 5 out of aesthetics, 5 out of 5 out of combat movement style, but definitely or I'll give it a 4 out of 5 out of combat because of the way the abilities work and the way that you have to combine them and go through things. It would be 5 out of 5 if I could easily use all the abilities at once and like have them on my screen somehow, right? And not have to switch between blocking and evading. That to me just feels really bad. But and then the story and okay, so the gearing I think is a 1 out of 5. The questing I think is a 2 out of 5, and the overall story I think could be like I would give it like a 2 out of 5 as well. So overall, if I had to average all this out, I would give it around 4 out of 10. This game to me is, if you are a big fan of RPGs, JRPGs, like, you know, Final Fantasy kind of style games, or any other games that are out there from Japan or Eastern style companies, then I definitely think this game will be for you. You'll enjoy it. The aesthetics is really there. The combat is fun. It's a slow paced game, and I know a lot of people who play these kind of style games it doesn't bother them, which is great. But if you're looking for a new like modern style game that has a lot of those elements that is exciting and it has a good story and doesn't have all these loading screens like I'm going through, like today's Kevin's birthday but he's not here, so I'm just had a party with myself, like it's depressing, girl. I don't want to read this. Like, I don't want to read about how my sister is sitting at home by herself during her birthday. Like, she's probably had 20 birthdays since I played, by the way. Girl's like 30 years old now. Okay, whatever. 20 years old. Math, not my forte. Anyway, like I said, I can't teleport anywhere and I can't move around easily. It's just, oh God, like let me just say, it has been a true struggle for me to get around this map. Like, look at me. I have to literally, I have to go through this whole dang planet, and like I have to go through, it's just, oh my gosh, I'm trying to go collect some materials to craft some stuff. And in order for me to do that, I have to go all the way to the other side of the world. And to do that, it is, I mean, God, y'all, like, I can't. I'll have to end it here. Like, I'm playing the game now, and I'm thinking about how frustrated I am to have to go to this area to, like, literally farm iron ore and other materials that I need to get in order to craft this stuff. And it's, that's all I have to say. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys can, you know, form your own opinion. This is definitely only like one guy's opinion on a game, and definitely recommend trying out just to see if you're interested. It's always worth to play your game yourself to get a good feel, and you know, take my criticism and take my like opinions, you know, by a grain of salt. But whatever you decide to do, I hope you guys enjoy whatever games you're playing and you guys have a great time. And even if you don't have a great time playing the game, at least you tried, right? That's what life is all about, is just trying it out. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to say thank you for watching my videos. I hope you guys enjoyed my Nier Replicant game review and reactions, and I hope to see you guys around sometime soon. Or I'll say I look forward to seeing you guys around. Oh, I do want to say, if you guys like my videos and you enjoy my game reviews, or you want to check out my other random topic video or my myths, mysteries, and gaming series I just started, definitely check out my YouTube channel. Please hit that like button and that subscribe button and keep checking me. Or yeah, hit that like button, that subscribe button, and I would love to see your guys' thoughts and opinions on Nier Replicant down below. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think this game was good? If you had to rate this 1 out of 10, what rating would you give it? And explain why. You can use my 5 points that I used in the video. You can come up with your own points. I would love to see what you guys thought about this game. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Was it for you, or was it not for you? I would love to hear more what you guys thought. And thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you guys tuning into my videos, and I always appreciate every single one of you for every support that you guys have given me my way. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys around sometime soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.